Okay, let's go to the next question.
Hi everyone, this is Mukulia from Morgan Stanley. This question is for Sandeep and feel free to jump in this. Part of the multi-sourcing that we're talking about, the key component is what we call our centers of excellence or captives for lack of a better word. One challenge that we're seeing, and I'm not sure if you guys are seeing, is just the collaboration between the third-party vendors, the parent organization, and the captives. Most likely, usually it's more like an open-ended triangle rather than a three-way street. I mean, your thoughts on challenges there, or what you guys are experiencing in that space? And it gets actually much more complicated when you've got the whole businesses coming up and all over the world. So you've got your Latin America, the Eastern Europe, and Asia, and then you've got your businesses and the parent organization. So it's very, very complex. So your thoughts on that?
Sure. As you saw in my presentation, and this brings back the point of clarity in the operating model, because you would expect that the captive is the coordination point for everything that happens offshore. So I agree with you that there is confusion in the market, but clearly as the role of the captive needs to include some of the ground coordination, it needs to act as the bridge between the parent corporation and the end user, the supply chain offshore. It just improves the quality of communication, the understanding of the cultural issues, the ability to push back. We at Barclays have recently launched a captive capability out here in India. One of the very important mandates for them is being site managers. And also there is a role to be played by the supply corporations, which is not to reach out to the parent and try and get through the side door. It only adds to the confusion. So respecting those operating models is equally important on the part of the supply chain.
Okay, next person.
Yes, my name is Bill Pierce. I'm very interested in the difference between sourcing for services and sourcing for innovation, because my experience in negotiating many sourcing contracts is that nobody wants innovation. They don't pay for it. They want SLAs. They want risk shifting to the service provider. And what I was thrilled to see is the discussion about innovation. What I'd like to address is what risks do you see, and how do you allocate the risks in these contracts for, quote, innovation? Because I think this is more new business product development than outsourcing, because outsourcing is focused on repeatability. Thank you.
Let me take a shot at that one, since have been doing, I mentioned with one of my examples, our loyalty program. Clearly a key innovation for us as a company that we use an outsourced partner to help us with. I think that how you manage the risk, I think with any outsourcing arrangement, you've got to manage the process. You've got to be closely involved with your outsourcing partner to make sure that you're getting, and you know what you're getting, what you're not getting, where things start to go maybe off track. Being aware of when that's happening and reacting to it quickly is the way you manage the risk. But we found that, again, most of the projects we do, we try to make it a partnership with us doing some of the, particularly the requirements gathering, some of the high-level design work, and then using our outsourced partner to contribute and collaborate with that and to take it through to the completion of the project. So that gives us a way of tapping that expertise, at the same time also being involved in managing the risk.
I'd like to add that, I mean, the point is absolutely well made. When you source for innovation, there is no guarantee of success. A number of things that we do just don't work. I mean, and that's part of the whole idea of innovation. We are on the edge. We're trying out new things that have never been done before. I'd say two things. First of all, you share the risk, and you work small. So this isn't a $10, $20, $30 million deal. You start with hundreds of thousands, which is shared by us as well as by the third party. But the upside is huge. In some of the examples I showed you, the platforms that we created became tens of millions of dollars of business for those companies down the road. And there's a lot of discussion, we don't have time to get into, about who shares the IP intellectual property in that, and what our role is versus the supplier's role in terms of contributing to the future success. And we often work very hard making sure that those guys are successful going forward. So it is a complicated mix. Suppliers that are not willing to take the risk don't play in this game. I mean, innovation is not a transaction processing, run-of-the-mill thing. So it takes a whole different mindset.
One last comment on this whole innovation issue is, if you're an end-user organization, make sure innovation promises are in the contract. A lot of time, those things don't get in the contract, and if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. But I think service providers now, more than ever, are having those collaborative discussions where innovation is talked of as a project after, let's say, a large outsourcing deal is signed. And the expectation is that there will be funding in place to evaluate innovation. We're going to take one more question. And who's got the baton right over there?
Hi, this is Yogesh Shulawalkar from Citi. Kurt, this is for you. You said that discussing multi-sourcing, a healthy mix of internal versus external sources, providers. So from your research, do you have any guidance on what works best with sourcing to internal captives versus sourcing to external providers?
So when you say internal captives, are you talking about offshore captive centers?
No.
Oh, well, everybody's got to basically determine for themselves what the right mix is of inside delivery, outside delivery, and maybe captive delivery. We find that only the largest companies can sustain a captive center, whether it's in India or South America or anywhere else. There's a lot of risks to that, and our research shows for, let's say, a captive center for applications development, you have to have a minimum of 500 developers working to make that profitable long term. And of course, we're seeing in Europe and other areas there's this trend toward people trying to sell off their captive centers. But the balance is a moving target. And I think, as Doru said earlier, you're going to move the needle based on what the changes are in the business. You're going to move your needle based on what the new demands and challenges are of the organization. So the whole issue of how much inside, outside, it's going to be based on what's going on in your company at the time. And hopefully, if it's an end-user organization, they have a strategy in place and they're looking out to and sensing and responding how they have to change with the marketplace.
It's also a factor of where you are in the evolution of outsourcing and offshoring. So if you are in the early stages, you may be using more third party. Then once you become more confident, the board almost expects you to you start looking at captives because you want to retain the intellectual property. And then once you reach a certain size and scale, you begin getting targeted and dealing with attrition issues and inability to offer career paths. So the needle swings back one more time to third parties. So it really depends where you are in that journey.
Sandeep has the last word. I want to thank you all for coming today. And NASSCOM has advised me to present a gift to our panel members here. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll find out later. I want to thank you all for coming today. And if you want to stick around for some quick questions before the next session, please do so. And thank you very much.